My next guest has written a novel that truly reveals the importance of living life to the fullest and cherishing your loved one along the way. Frances Pergamo is the author of The Healing, a book about strength, courage, and hope for the future. Good morning.
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk about what The Healing is. Obviously, we only have a few minutes, but what is the book about?
It's about a retired firefighter, and he has progressive MS, and how his wife is really the only one who can sort of make his life worth living. This is hard for her because sometimes when you're strong, when you're trying to be strong, you detach a little bit. But as the book goes on, as the story unfolds, you get a good glimpse into how they journey through this together. At the beginning, it doesn't seem like they're together, of course. It's about the journey, really.
And let me tell you, as I read The Journey, because it's a very powerful book, I thought, wow, you know, and as the book progresses, I also was touched by the fact that she's standing by him. He becomes even a quadriplegic, which has to be extremely tough for a wife to watch. And the one thing I thought of, Frances, was, wow, what a commitment.
I'm glad you got that. That's sort of the mission statement of the book, because it's commitment in marriage is sticking together through thick and thin. And the human connection can sometimes, in any relationship, not just a marriage, the human connection is what makes people, helps people get through these hard times.
And times are tough, no doubt. And you know, I have to be honest with you, I went to a wedding a couple of weeks ago, and I remember hearing the vows again, and I just celebrated 10 years with my husband.
Oh, congratulations.
And I know you're over 30 years with your husband. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And when the priest said, in sickness and in health, your book came into my mind, and I went, wow, The Healing. Because it is in sickness and in health, and that's what you were talking about in the book.
Yes, it's, well, the commitment again. It's not always going to be rosy as you go through life.
Not always the good times.
Not always the good times. And in sickness and in health, in the healing, dealing with MS, this happens to be a catastrophic illness. In the marriage, they're helping each other.
Like an act of will,
well, yeah, it is an act of the will. It's not, I'm glad you said that too. It's not always about the feelings.
Right.
Sometimes in the harder times, you have to make it an act of the will, because that's what true love is. And it's a true love story. I mean, it's a love story, for sure, but it's a real-life, everyday hero kind of love story.
And her hero, obviously, has changed in so many ways. Now, I know your hero is your husband.
Yes.
And I do want our viewers to know that you have actually not been through this. This is not something that you have encountered in your life.
No.
What made you want to write about something like that if you never even experienced it?
Well, it's not a memoir, but I actually asked myself a question. I was married very young, and 19, actually, I was married. And so I kind of grew into, learning about this and learning about the through thick and thin. And it's not always about me, it's about we, a marriage, or again, any relationship. And my husband, he's kind of a guy's guy, and he's very much, and not a workaholic, but he's very defined by that, as a lot of men are. They're defined by what they do. So I asked myself the question, what if he ended up in a wheelchair? What if he ended up with something like that?
Sure.
What would make him want to keep living? You. Right. Exactly. And his family, and so that's really what I took to the to this story is. So Mike in the story, in The Healing, is somewhat loosely based on him, because I took those attributes and
the love of his family,
marriage,
obviously,
would
want to make him go on.
What would make him want to go on? So that was the question.
Last question, and quickly. It's titled The Healing, and I really felt like there was a lot of healing along the way. We're not going to give the ending away, but it wasn't just the healing between a husband and wife. It's a lot of healing, a lot of lessons learned throughout this journey.
Yes, there are a lot of lessons learned. It's friendship, and friendships, how their friends deal with it. They have a daughter. She actually is suffering from depression because of what happens to her father, so she's a teenager. And there are healings in the relationship and others. So yeah, there's a lot of healing going on in the book, and it's everyday. It's really everyday life. People that are next to you online in the grocery store can be going through these things, and that's what makes it very real. And I think that's why you got the awards.
And I'm so proud of you, and congratulations. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
maybe I'll write my own novel after this,
Aw.
now that I hit 10 years. Thank you, Frances. It's actually been a joy. And if you'd like to read Frances's book, The Healing, go to francespergamo.com.